out of the system. And that's a main reason, along with the savings from drawing down in Iraq and from the allowing the high-end tax cuts to sunset, you put those together, you cut this deficit in half by the end of that first term.
Jared, you're a great guest. Always fun having you on. Thank you. Be well.
My pleasure, Neil.
All right, Jared Bernstein at the White House. Now to a congressman who supports the way in which the president is approaching the ailing economy. Democratic Joe Sestak, who voted both for the stimulus bill and the other spending bill that just came in. Congressman, always good to have you.
Thanks, Neil.
You know what's weird about this spending bill, Congressman? You know, just the night before, right, the president is saying we've got to, tighten our belts. We've got to be disciplined. We're going to let the American people know we can control ourselves and let's not do things the same old way. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. The next day, you guys write off on a budget that a bill that increases spending over 8% from the prior year and is loaded with 8,000 earmarks. Why did you do that?
Neil, I felt very good to vote for this bill because 1 year ago in the budget resolution which passed the House, we were actually $1.3 billion underneath that budget resolution. We kept to our word. I think you noticed that.
Was your word this time, though, Congressman, to be 8% over what it was the prior year?
Yeah, absolutely. If you go back and look at how much yes, sir.
Well, because the average American family, Congressman, is seeing their budget move about 1.3, 1.4% this year over last year, and you've done them almost 8 times better than that.
But what the budget resolution did, at a time we weren't in this economic crisis, it actually said we would spend in this year, mandatory and discretionary, $3.013 trillion. We are actually $1.3 billion under that. And so actually we kept to what we said.
All right, but
you can say it's 8%, but that's what we said a year ago.
Right, so I didn't hear what you said a year ago, so I'm going to take it at your word. Now, what I do know is that that is Democrats, maybe not you specifically, Congressman, but Democrats and Republicans, boy, they love this pork and these earmarks and all. Close to 8,000 of them, what was it? And I'm just wondering, that's who the president the night before. Stop this earmark, this thing won't have one earmark. I'm listening to that.
Well, Neil, right up front.
So what happened? I mean, I thought you guys were going to be watching each other's earmarks.
I was pretty proud. 2 years ago, after having left the Navy, I came in here, and we actually cut the earmarks by the amount of money in last year's budget by 45%. Now, this year, we only cut it another 5%, but we did cut it for almost 50% over what had been. I would vote tomorrow for a bill that said no earmarks.
Why did people just say, hey, look, the president, gosh, he was right. This earmark thing is stupid and we look ridiculous. Republicans too, because they account for half of it. But everyone just said, what the heck, right?
No, I don't think everybody said, what the heck. The thing is that we couldn't get the budget down. We're 4 months into it. Do I like earmarks? Look, I'd rather everything went to a proper grant program like the Homeland Security.
It would be like a fitness coach is telling, I want to see you run 10 miles. I want to see you get on that life cycle. I want to see it. And then I leave and I have a pastrami Reuben. And all of a sudden the coach is saying, what the heck? And that's what you guys did, right?
But can you name me another time where you've seen a program cut by 50% in 2 years as we did the earmark system, in real terms? Tell me one other government program.
Real terms were up 8%.
We should be given high marks for this one, Neil, and you know it. 50% cutting a government program by 50% in 1 year? Now, by the way,
what program was cut 50%?
All the earmarks. That's basically been an unfortunate government program.
Cumulatively are 50% less spending in earmarks than they were the year before?
In the amount of the total amount of money, you can make it 9,000, 10,000. I'm interested in how much money. We cut it almost 50% from 2 years ago. Okay. Name me one other government so-called program that's been done. By the way, that other 8.8%, let me tell you, I was dismayed when President Bush's budget arrived and they had cut all cops programs to 0 and first responders for getting staffs and what they did to 0%. So there were things that we had to correct where he knew we would correct them and still kept within our $3 trillion budget resolution. Pretty good job by fiscally disciplined, I think, approach.
All right. I love you dearly, Congress. You sound like me trying to sell a report card to my parents as C's and D's. By the time I was done with them, they thought I was Mensa material. But
I was just like you, Neil. You read your homework. I read our homework. Give you the facts.
Congressman, you're a good man. I know you're trying to work hard on this, but always fun having you on. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Neil, for having me.
All right, Nancy Pelosi welcomes Hitting Up the Rich today, saying if she had things her way, she'd have done it a lot sooner. So the Speaker gets her wish, but did the President? And is this really what he wants? A top Wall Street